뉴스의 이면, 사실 너머의 진실을 들여다보겠습니다. 믿고 듣는 진품 시사, 김종배의 시선 집중.
자, 웡 비서장님 어려운 인터뷰에 응해주셔서 감사드립니다.
First of all, thank you so much for coming to this very hard interview for you. I know you are very busy.
Thank you.
네, 최근에 이 홍콩 경찰이 실탄을 발사해서 이곳 대한민국에서도 충격을 받았고요. 이게 유혈 사태에 대한 우려감 대한민국에서 좀 많이 퍼져 있는데 일단 그곳 현지 상황이 좀 어떤지부터 좀 궁금합니다.
So recently, police has fired ammunition towards the protesters, and that has shocked Koreans as well. So can you kind of brief us on the situation right now, because we are very afraid of possible bloodshed happening in Hong Kong.
Hong Kong police attempt to murder Hong Kong people. They have already used live bullets fired towards high school students, and which result in the serious crackdown and bloodshed. And we need to work to stand with Hong Kong.
네, 이 경찰의 총격을 받은 학생 다행히 어떤 생명에 지장이 없다라는 보도를 접했는데요. 지금 건강 상태는 어떤지 혹시 좀 파악이 되셨습니까?
So the student who got shot, fortunately, he's not in a critical condition. Do you know any updates about his condition right now?
The high school student is still in extremely critical condition, and we are not sure how will be the outcome. Especially, Hong Kong police never apologize for what they have done, and we are just having the fundamental course on free election. We just have to elect our own government, just like how Korean people fight for democracy 3 decades ago.
네. 지금 최근에 홍콩 현지에서 그러니까 가장 뜨거운 이슈는 복면 금지법 이거라고 보면 될까요?
So the biggest issue, the hot potato right now in Hong Kong, might be one of the anti-mask ban in Hong Kong right now. Is that true?
The anti-mask ban policy is imposed by emergency ordinance, which means that Hong Kong government already announced the emergency status, bypassed the legislature to impose the evil law. Today, they can impose the anti-mask law, and it will just trigger more and more people lack of confidence to the government. Especially bank calls happen already, and how people stop food lining up to the ATM machine to take cash, which just proves that Hong Kong people have no trust on the government.
아무튼 이 복면 금지법 도입 이후에 70명이 넘는 사람들이 체포가 됐다라는 소식을 접했는데요. 혹시 이 사람들은 지금 현재도 구금돼 있는 상태인가요?
So we heard that after this anti-mask ban has been imposed, more than 70 people have been arrested by the police. Are they still in the lockup situation right now?
2,400 citizens were arrested. More than 300 of them were prosecuted, and more than 10 of them were already detained inside prison before any trial started, which just proves that mass arrest and prosecution is a tactic for them to silence our voice.
네, 이 가운데는 19살의 임신부도 있다, 체포됐다 이런 보도가 국내에도 타전된 바가 있는데요. 지금 이분은 어떤 상태에 있습니까?
So in Korean domestic media, it has been reported that there is a 19-year-old pregnant student who has been arrested by the police. Are you aware of this person, and what is her situation right now?
Arbitrary arrest is the behavior and what have done by police, not only targeting activists or protesters, even first aider, journalists, nurse, doctor, or pregnant woman that may be just a resident in the nearby residential area were all arrested by riot police.
네. 아무튼 홍콩 당국에서는 복면 금지법이 홍콩에서만 시행되는 게 아니라 캐나다와 같은 다른 나라에서도 시행되고 있다 이렇게 주장을 하던데 이런 주장은 잘못된 주장이라고 보시는 겁니까?
So the Hong Kong government, the spokesperson has said that this kind of mask ban is not only imposed in Hong Kong. For example, Canada imposes it. So do you think their insistence that anti-mask ban is okay because other countries have done it? What do you feel about that position of the government?
The fundamental problem is how Hong Kong government bypassed the legislature to impose a law to restrict our right to protest and the right to organize demonstration, especially how anti-mask law might exist in countries around the world. But they at least have passed this law in the Congress or Parliament that is democratically formed. But how Hong Kong government bypassed the legislature which just trigger and prove how separation of power is end already in Hong Kong.
네, 앞서 말씀을 하시면서 대한민국과 같은 직선제 도입의 필요성을 말씀을 하셨는데요. 지금 당국에서는 이걸 거부를 한 상황이거든요. 자, 과연 그럼에도 불구하고 직선제를 끌어낼 수 있다고 자신하십니까?
So you've mentioned earlier that you need a government. Hong Kongers need a government just like Korea to have a directly elected government. But the Hong Kong government has turned down that idea. So how do you feel about this situation? Do you think there's any chance that this could actualize?
Fight for democracy is an uphill battle, just like how people around the world in last century fight for democratic reform, especially how Korean people in the Candlelight Assembly a few years ago, or how to fight for freedom on 1987. It really impressed lots of Hong Kong people, invite us continue our fight. And we will continue until the day we get back democracy.
네, 얼마 전에 그 홍콩 시위대 일부가 홍콩 임시정부 선언을 낭독하는 일이 있었는데요. 자, 이 현상은 어떻게 읽어야 되는 걸까요?
So the thousands declared interim Hong Kong government, and they read aloud the declaration of Hong Kong provisional government. They declared that this is our interim government. We are not going to recognize the actual government that exists right now. This is our interim government. So we saw the video of thousands declaring the interim Hong Kong government. And how do you receive this kind of protesters movement?
If Hong Kong government is elected by Hong Kong people, of course, it would be great for us to recognize the administration of Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. But for our movement, the fundamental call is asked for free election, which means elected our own government. It just shows that the manifesto just shows the discontent of Hong Kongers.
네. 그런데 지금 임시정부 선언 이런 것들을 하면서 확대 해석하는 사람들 같은 그러니까 지금 홍콩 시위대가 분리 독립까지 지금 지향하고 있는 것이냐라고 해석하는 사람도 일부 있는데요. 이런 해석은 어떻게 받아들이십니까?
So some people are taking it further, this kind of announcement of a manifesto to have another government. And some people are kind of interpreting as, are you guys looking for another independent state? Are the protesters going there? Is some people is translating that way. How do you feel about this kind of interpretation?
Hong Kong people are asking for 5 demands, not one less. Hong Kong independence is not included in the 5 demands. And of course, Hong Kong people didn't live under the rule of Beijing hardline suppression. But we're strongly aware how Hong Kong government and Beijing broke the promise of the one country, two system in the Sino-British Joint Declaration, which also explains how Hong Kong people are asking for international community support. When Beijing broke the promise in the international treaty, international allies must support Hong Kong democratization.
네, 얼마 전에 행정장관이 송환법 같은 경우는 처리한다고 밝혔는데 그럼 이 송환법 문제로 국한한다면 이 문제는 일단락됐다 이렇게 판단을 하십니까?
So the Carrie Lam has declared she withdrew the repatriation law. Do you think that part has been taken care of?
Hong Kong government has completely withdrawn the extradition bill after more than 2,000 activists were arrested. We pay the serious price for it. But when we have fight for democracy since 3 decades ago, of course we will continue to fight for free election.
네, 대한민국을 비롯한 국제사회에서 우려 섞인 시선으로 바라보는 것 가운데 하나가 중국군의 개입 가능성입니다. 이 비서장님을 비롯해서 홍콩 현지에서는 그 가능성을 어느 정도라고 지금 보고 있는지 궁금합니다.
Including Korea, internationally we are concerned that there are possible Chinese troop intervention. And we are curious, or we are wondering, Joshua, yourself, are you worried about this? Or how possible is it the Chinese troop might intervene in this situation?
Troops already moved to the border, and how People Liberation Army also increasing the numbers of soldiers based in Hong Kong. When President Xi is the one believe in authoritarian rule, and with the track record of the Tiananmen Square massacre, we just hope the world to safeguard Hong Kong political and economic freedom. Hong Kong is on the brink of bloodshed.
네, 바로 그 점인데요. 이 만약에 시위 양상이 점점 더 과격해진다면 중국군에 개입 빌미를 주는 것이 아니냐 이렇게 걱정하는 시선이 있습니다. 앞으로 이 시위 양상을 어떻게 전망을 하시고 또 어떻게 이끌어갈 계획이신지가 궁금합니다.
So that in that point, actually, people are concerned that the violence within the protests are somewhat escalating, and that violence might give a good excuse for the Chinese troops to intervene. So, how do you project the protests will develop in the future, and how do you plan to play a leading role in this protest?
People carry the intention to have self-defense and self-protection under police and mob violence, especially when police are using life-threatening weapons, fire live round bullets towards ordinary citizens. It's just trigger Hong Kong people react in force. And how the escalation of violence from the police side will just trigger more and more people dissatisfaction and discontent.
네. 그리고 지금 홍콩 시위대 주축을 보니까 20대가 상당히 많던데요. 이 젊은 세대가 이렇게 이제 직접적으로 나서는 이유, 그다음에 어떤데 그러니까 문제의식을 느끼면서 20대가 그렇게 나선다고 봐야 되는 건지가 궁금한데요. 어떻게 좀 봐야 될까요, 이 문제는?
So the central force of your protest group is a lot of teenagers and a lot of young people in their 20s. So why are the younger people in their teens and 20s are in the forefront of the protest? And how would you see the issue of younger people participating in this protest?
Youngster is the future of the city. And when Hong Kong government and riot police targeted ordinary citizens, especially high school kids at the age of 10, the youngest arrested person is just a 10-year-old school kid, which just trigger more and more people, especially the young generation. We hope to let the government to realize that the future of Hong Kong should not be dominated by Beijing. We deserve the right to determine our own future.
지금 시위대가 내건 요구 사항이 5가지인데요. 바로 이 문제를 두고 홍콩 당국이 물밑으로 한번 대화를 해보자라는 이런 메시지, 이런 전달이 없었나요?
So there are 5 focal points from the protesters. Was there any approach from the Hong Kong government, maybe underneath the media attention, to approach you and have a real talk about solving this problem?
Hong Kong government refused to set up any kind of dialogue, and they just continue to conduct crackdown on protests and human rights, which just proved that they refuse to listen to the voice of Hong Kongers and just listen to the voice of Beijing.
그 웡 비서장님이 오는 11월에 치러지는 지방선거에 출마를 하겠다 이렇게 선언을 했는데요. 자, 이렇게 선언한 이유 뭘까요?
So you've announced that you'll be running for the local office, the upcoming district council elections. So why did you decide to run for this position, and what will you do with that position?
With the track record of how Beijing unseat democratically elected lawmaker and disqualified candidacy of young activists that hope to run for office, my announcement and application to run for office will be a remarkable test to test on whether Beijing is willing to listen to the voice of Hong Kong people, let our voice to enter the institution or not. If Beijing disqualify my candidacy, which just certify why Hong Kong people still keep on protest on street.
그 지금 중국 정부가 이른바 민주 인사를 탄압한 것이 국제사회에서 여러 번 문제가 된 적이 있었습니다. 웡 비서장님 같은 경우 혹시 신변의 위협이라든지 이런 일이 혹시 없었는지 궁금합니다.
In the past years, Chinese government has been known to suppress the human rights activists, and we are worried about you, Joshua. And are you yourself worried about what's going to happen to you as an individual?
I have been arrested for 8 times, been jailed for 3 times, but just spending 120 days in prison. Compared to other activists in Hong Kong being jailed for more than 6 years, the price I pay is really small. So in such uphill battle, I just hope Hong Kong people can stand as one with solidarity. And I hope Korean government, especially President of South Korea, was aware the importance of human rights. And politicians in Korea should not keep silence on the humanitarian and political crisis Hong Kong people are suffering.
네, 비서장님 두렵지 않으세요?
Aren't you afraid, though?
I have no regret at all. Even sometimes we will be downhearted and depressed, but how we overcome the fear is the task and the lesson that we learned in the past few years.
네. 홍콩 시위대가 한국의 민주주의를 여러 번 언급하는 그런 뉴스를 접한 바가 있습니다. 조금 전에 비서장님도 대한민국의 민주주의를 잠깐 언급을 하시기도 했는데요. 홍콩이 나아가야 될 민주주의 발전 모델이 바로 한국의 모델이다 이렇게 보시는 겁니까?
So you've mentioned a couple of times that South Korean democracy has been inspired you, and also the Hong Kong protesters has mentioned South Korea's movement for the democratic rights. So do you think South Korean's democracy that we have right now is sort of the future model for Hong Kongers right now?
It will be the future model that inspires lots of Hong Kong people continue our fight. I hope today South Korea and tomorrow Hong Kong. And one day Hong Kong can be the place just like South Korea, enjoy freedom and democracy. And freedom from fear is our wish that we will cherish.
네. 자, 지금 이 방송을 듣고 있는 대한민국 국민들에게 요청을 하고 싶은 내용이라든지 호소하고 싶은 내용이 있다면 그건 뭘까요?
And there are a lot of Koreans listening to this show right now. What would you like to tell them, to appeal to them?
Fight for democracy or free elections seems to be a bit distant for lots of Korean people. But in Hong Kong, when 10 years old school kid and 63 years old elderly were both arrested during the protests, we are suffering in the humanitarian crisis that we hope Korean people can stand with Hong Kong. And Hong Kong people should never walk alone.
네. 자, 이제 인터뷰를 좀 마무리를 해야 되는데요. 지금 혹시 홍콩 거리에서 시위 현장에서 그러니까 전화 통화를 한 건지가 궁금하네요. 어디 계십니까, 비서장님?
So we will eventually finalize this, wrap up this interview. But we are curious: are you in the midst of protests right now? Where are you taking this call right now?
I just leave the protest zone and to conduct this interview. And we are also planning the mass mobilization during the weekend. We have continued the protest for more than 16 weeks already. And we hope to learn a lesson from the candlelight strike a few years ago in South Korea. And we will continue with our courage and determination.
알겠습니다. 자, 오늘 말씀 감사드리고요. 대한민국 국민들도 아주 깊은 관심으로 홍콩을 지켜보고 있다는 점 잊지 마시길 바라고 힘내라는 말씀을 마지막으로 전해드리겠습니다. 오늘 인터뷰 고맙습니다.
Thank you so much for the interview. A lot of Koreans are looking at this issue with deep interest, and we wish to give you the energy to go on. And thank you so much for coming to the interview today.
Okay, thank you.
이슈의 핵심을 꿰뚫는 예리한 시선, 믿고 듣는 진품 시사, 김종배 시선 집중.